The air was unusually still over the base that morning, the kind of calm that makes even routine operations feel heavier, quieter. On the tarmac, a Mirage 2000 stood poised, delta-winged and glinting in the pale dawn light. Its engine hummed, a low vibration that vibrated through the feet of the ground crew, a constant reminder of raw power held in check by precise engineering. Inside the cockpit, the pilot went through the final pre-flight checks, hands moving with the fluid familiarity of countless hours in this machine. Panels glowed, screens flickered, and instruments whispered telemetry that only a trained eye could interpret. Outside, the runway stretched into the haze, the horizon a soft blur between sky and earth. The jet roared to life, accelerating with deliberate precision. Each increment of speed, each subtle shift in control surfaces, carried the aircraft closer to the edge of what was humanly and mechanically possible. The delta-wing silhouette lifted into the sky, leaving a faint heat shimmer across the asphalt. Above, the clouds were sparse but uneven, pockets of turbulence hidden within the serene blue. Wind whispered against the fuselage as the jet climbed to its assigned altitude. Inside, the pilot's focus was absolute. Every dial, every tone, every vibration mattered. A single misread signal, a single moment of hesitation, could cascade through the finely balanced system in seconds. As the aircraft leveled off, a faint warning tone sounded in the cockpit. It was subtle, almost imperceptible to anyone outside, but the trained noted the anomaly. Systems that had always responded now hesitated, data streams flickering before stabilizing. The jet, a paragon of agility and precision, began its routine maneuvers for the day's training mission. Yet in that quiet pulse of early morning, something imperceptible had shifted, the first ripple in a chain that would unfold with unforgiving speed. The scene lingers on the Mirage 2000 cutting through the sky, engine steady, instruments alive, the world below unaware of the unfolding chain of events. Silence and anticipation hang together, the air dense with potential energy and human precision. The opening scene closes not with drama but with measured tension, the calm before procedural storm. The Mirage 2000, conceived in the late 1970s by Dassault Aviation, represented a leap in fighter design. Its delta wing and single-engine configuration allowed for exceptional agility, a compact profile, and a high thrust-to-weight ratio that defined its operational envelope. Designed for both air superiority and multi-role versatility, it became a mainstay in several air forces around the world. By 2017, it was a mature platform, though still relying on meticulous maintenance and experienced pilots to unlock its full potential. At the base, operations were a choreography of precision. Ground crews moved with practiced efficiency, fueling, arming, and inspecting each aircraft in a ritual honed over decades. Training flights were a central part of maintaining combat readiness. Dogfighting simulations, high-speed maneuvers, and tactical exercises executed in a tightly controlled environment. Despite decades of service, each sortie carried inherent risk. The margin between disciplined execution and catastrophe was slim, a reality that every pilot internalized. The pilot at the controls that morning was highly trained, with years of experience in tactical flight operations. Career progression in fighter aviation demands mastery of the aircraft's flight envelope, split-second decision-making under high-G loads, and an intuitive understanding of aircraft systems. Mission planning was meticulous, altitudes, maneuvers, and contingencies mapped with precision. Every control input and throttle adjustment had been drilled to near instinctive levels. Weather conditions played a subtle but important role. Early March skies offered scattered clouds with pockets of turbulence that could disrupt airflow over the delta wings, particularly during high-speed maneuvers. Visibility was generally good, but small inconsistencies in air density could challenge even seasoned aviators. The combination of human skill, machine capability, and environmental variables created a delicate equilibrium, one that could shift in an instant. The operational context extended beyond the immediate flight. Aircraft maintenance schedules, system upgrades, and procedural reviews all contributed to readiness. The Mirage 2000, while robust, relied on redundant systems that could mask incipient failures, but only if operators interpreted them correctly. Each sortie was an intersection of past decisions, engineering, maintenance, training, and environmental factors converging in real time. This background establishes a professional and technical ecosystem surrounding the flight. By understanding the aircraft, the pilot, and the environment, the narrative prepares the audience for the precise moments when the equilibrium would be tested. The investigation of a fighter jet accident is never a single narrative. It is a meticulous assembly of perspectives, each providing critical insight into how the chain of events unfolded. For the 2017 Mirage 2000 crash, 4 angles define the framework: the aircraft itself, the crew, the environment, and the onboard systems. Aircraft. The Mirage 2000 was designed to performance at the extremes. Its delta wing enabled exceptional maneuverability but required precise handling at high angles of attack. A single-engine configuration provided simplicity and high thrust-to-weight ratios, but offered no redundancy in the event of an engine failure. The A-frame was robust yet sensitive. Vibrations, airflow disturbances, or improper control inputs could propagate rapidly through the flight surfaces. By 2017, the fleet had accumulated thousands of flight hours. Routine maintenance was rigorous, yet even minor deviations in system calibration or wear could have disproportionate effects during aggressive maneuvers. Critical systems, fly-by-wire flight controls, engine management computers, and avionics worked in concert to maintain stability. Each relied on accurate sensor input and pilot interpretation. The aircraft was not inherently unsafe. Rather, it demanded near-perfect synchronization between man and machine. A lapse in timing, even milliseconds, could exceed the safety margin. Crew. Human factors are central in fighter aviation. The pilot had extensive training, encompassing high-G maneuvers, tactical simulations, and emergency procedures. Yet no experience can entirely eliminate the physiological and cognitive limits inherent in high-performance flight. Situational awareness is a constant challenge. Rapidly changing instruments, environmental cues, and tactical demands compete for attention. The pilot's task was to integrate this information continuously, anticipate system behavior, and execute precise control inputs, often under extreme G-forces that impair vision, spatial orientation, and decision-making. In the final moments, the interplay between instinct, training, and procedural recall becomes a defining factor in response to abnormal system behavior. The human element is not one of error alone, but of complexity, pressure, and adaptation in real time. Environment. The flight took place within an operational airspace characterized by both controlled zones and natural obstacles. Weather conditions, though generally stable, included subtle atmospheric inconsistencies, thermal pockets, minor turbulence, and variations in air density that could affect lift and control surfaces during high-speed climbs or banking maneuvers. Terrain played a role as well. Although the mission profile avoided populated areas, elevated terrain could present additional challenges if spatial awareness diminished or instrumentation failed. The environment was a silent participant. Invisible currents, cloud pockets, and atmospheric pressure variations interacting with the aircraft at precise moments. Systems. Modern fighters are defined by complex systems, engine management, fly-by-wire control, avionics, navigation, and warning instrumentation. The Mirage 2000 systems were designed to provide redundancy, alerts, and automated protections, yet they also required proper interpretation. Warning tones, indicator lights, and digital readout serve as guides, but they demand rapid cognitive processing under stress. Misinterpreted signals or delayed responses can propagate through the chain, producing conditions that appear minor at first but escalate quickly. Procedural discipline, checklists, emergency protocols, and operational memory forms the final layer of defense. Viewed together, these four angles reveal the intricate lattice in which a fighter jet accident occurs. The aircraft is not an isolated entity. The pilot, the environment, and the systems converge in a dynamic and unforgiving context. Understanding each angle prepares a narrative to explore the accident itself, showing precisely how this convergence became irreversible. The flight began as planned, smooth, and measured, the Mirage 2000 responding precisely to every input. The pilot initiated the first series of tactical maneuvers, steep climbs, bank turns, and simulated combat drills. For several minutes, everything unfolded within the expected envelope. Speed, altitude, and control responses perfectly aligned. Then, a subtle irregularity appeared. An instrument flickered, engine RPM momentarily inconsistent, a minor deviation in angle of attack reading. To the trained eye, it was barely perceptible, yet in a fighter jet, milliseconds matter. The aircraft entered a high G banking tone, and the fly-by-wire system registered a transient instability. Stabilizers and control surfaces corrected automatically, but the timing of each correction added tension to the pilot's workload. The sequence accelerated rapidly. The jet climbed sharply, banking through dense pockets of air turbulence. Systems issued soft warning tones, each one a discrete signal rather than an alarm. The pilot responded, adjusting throttle and control surfaces. The aircraft responded, but not perfectly. Each input carried amplified consequences. In the cockpit, attention split between instruments and spatial awareness. The delta wing, so capable under normal conditions, now responded with slight overcorrection. Subtle aerodynamic forces combined with minute sensor discrepancies, producing oscillations that grew faster than the pilot could stabilize. For a moment, the aircraft seemed almost to hang, defying gravity with its delta wings, before descending into an unrecoverable trajectory. The final seconds were a precise chain of physics and human reaction. The aircraft velocity, angle, and environmental factors converged, exceeding the design safety margins. The pilot executed emergency procedures, yet the cumulative sequence of minor deviations, instrument flicker, control surface lag, turbulence, human reaction time, was sufficient to render recovery impossible. The Mirage 2000 impacted in a remote area, away from populated zones, minimizing risk to others. There were no dramatic explosions in the narrative, only the stark conclusion of an operational and technical chain reaching its limit. In this climactic moment, the story is not of failure or heroism, but of the unforgiving nature of high-performance aviation, a convergence of aircraft, crew, systems, and environment that left no margin for error. The crash set into motion a disciplined and meticulous investigation. Military protocols dictated the immediate steps: securing the site, recovering the aircraft flight recorders, and documenting environmental conditions. Investigators approached methodically, aware that every detail, from scorch marks to instrument positions, could hold crucial insight. The wreckage, though intact enough to allow analysis, offered only partial answers. Panels and avionics were examined for signs of malfunction. Hydraulic lines and control surfaces were tested against expected performance. Sensors and computer logs were extracted, their digital memory providing precise record of the final moments. Each byte of data was scrutinized, compared against mission planning records, and correlated with radar tracking. Pilot history and crew readiness were reviewed with the same precision. Training logs, procedural compliance, and flight experience were assessed, not to assign blame, but to reconstruct decision-making under high-pressure conditions. Investigators studied cognitive load, response time, and adherence to emergency procedures, seeking to understand how human factors interacted with technical anomalies. Environmental data became equally critical. Weather logs, cloud patterns, and atmospheric turbulence were mapped against the flight path. High-resolution terrain modeling was employed to evaluate how elevation and wind shear could have influenced flight dynamics. These factors, often invisible to the pilot in real time, were crucial to understanding the chain reaction that led to the crash. Finally, systems analysis synthesized the investigation. Flight control responsiveness, sensor accuracy, and fly-by-wire logic were examined to determine whether automated protections had functioned as intended. Minor deviations, when compounded with pilot input and environmental variability, were found to have created a scenario in which recovery was impossible. The findings were sobering but instructive. The report emphasized that no single factor caused the crash. Rather, it was a convergence of subtle technical discrepancies, human workload, and environmental variables. Lessons drawn from this event informed updated procedures, enhanced training modules, and system refinements, ensuring that the precision and reliability required in high-performance aviation were reinforced. Through careful investigation, the aircraft story was told, not as a moment of drama, but as a study in professional rigor and the relentless pursuit of understanding. The 2017 Mirage 2000 crash became more than a single event. It became a catalyst for reflection and refinement in fighter aviation. The investigation highlighted the interplay of human judgment, machine precision, and environmental complexity, reinforcing the principle that safety in high-performance flight is cumulative, a product of training, engineering, and vigilance. Procedures were updated across the fleet. Emergency checklists were refined, incorporating lessons from the sequence of minor anomalies that preceded the crash. Simulation protocols were adjusted to emphasize high-G maneuver recovery and instrument interpretation under stress. Maintenance schedules were reviewed, ensuring that even subtle sensor deviations would trigger preventive action. Training programs incorporated these insights into daily routines. Pilots were now exposed to scenario-based drills replicating the precise conditions that had challenged the pilot that day: turbulence pockets, instrument anomalies, and split-second decision-making exercises. The goal was not to dramatize risk, but to build professional resilience and situational awareness. The aircraft itself benefited from incremental system upgrades. Fly-by-wire protections, sensor calibration protocols, and diagnostic routines were enhanced, increasing reliability and providing pilots with clearer data when seconds mattered. Lessons were applied quietly but effectively, preserving operational capability while reducing vulnerability to similar sequences of events. The narrative closes with a subtle imagery of a Mirage 2000 lifting into the sky, engines humming with controlled power. The air is calm, the horizon distant. This is a world where knowledge, discipline, and professionalism shape outcomes, where tragedies inform progress. The story of the crash is not one of sensationalism, but of aviation's ongoing commitment to understanding, learning, and improving. The legacy lies not in what was lost, but in what was gained: safer procedures, sharper training, and an enduring respect for the delicate balance of machine, human, and environment.